Hello class, this is Professor Munshi and today we are going to discuss lesson number 3, Reconnaissance and Intelligence Gathering. We are in Infotech Security ITSY 1442 course. Let's talk about reconnaissance. What is reconnaissance? Reconnaissance is gathering information, learning about a target that you want to attack. The hackers, before they actually attack any system, any device, any network, they want to learn about it. They want to learn their IP address. They want to learn what kind of firewall security settings are implemented, what kind of packets are allowed, what are not allowed. So they want to know a whole lot more information before they launch an attack. And gathering, the process of gathering this information is called reconnaissance. And there are two kinds of reconnaissance, okay, active or passive. Active reconnaissance is like directly sending probes or scanning packets to those systems, to those computers, routers, switches, firewalls, end devices. So from either from inside the company or from outside the network, you send some probes, some scanning packets in order to scan those machines and learn about them. That is called active reconnaissance. What kind of tools are used? There are many tools are used for this purpose, such as Nmap. Nmap means network mapper. ZenMap, ZenMap is same as Nmap, but ZenMap has its more graphical interface. Hping or ping command is very much used, and hping is more powerful than ping command, where you can customize the echo packets or ICMP packets, inter-network control messaging protocol ICMP packets that ping commands. What does ping do? Ping from one computer, you send a ping to an IP address, so you send an echo packet to that device. So the receiving device will respond with an echo packet, echo reply. So that's how you know whether that machine is up and running. This is pinging, a very basic and simple form of pinging. However, the ping packets can be customized, the size of the packets, number of the packets. At the same time, you can send ping to many devices at the same time. And this kind of customization can be done using hping command. Okay. Then there's Angry IP Scanner. There's another tool that are used to scan many IP addresses in a network. Okay, so now let's take a look at in our chapter, and where it is right here, reconnaissance. Go to the next screen and talk about the active reconnaissance. Okay, active reconnaissance, you also do the network mapping. That there are two steps basically. One is called footprinting and one is called enumeration. Footprinting means just gathering information about the network, their IP addresses, IP block range, um, the operating system that are being used in those computers. And enumeration is one more step ahead. You actually map the network, you learn about their topology and learn more details about what kind of ports are open, what kind of services are, and what kind of version of those services are being run in those ports. And so that is the active reconnaissance. You actually scan. And one of the tools, as I mentioned, is Nmap. And again, ZenMap. ZenMap is same thing as Nmap. It uses a more graphical interface. And here is an example of a scan using the ZenMap. They kind of found out that network topology looks like this. And again, this is not exact because you are using a tool and the tool tries its best guess. Okay. Now, ping. How do you do the pinging? Again, as I mentioned, ping uses echo packets. So here is how we are going to use ping. Ping 172.31.48.137. So you're pinging an IP address. And that IP address replied back. So you got the statistics. 7 packets transmitted, 7 received, 0% packet loss. So you know that machine with the IP address 137 is up and running. Okay. Now, hping is again, as I mentioned, more powerful command. Okay, you can now customize the packet. So with hping, you are saying p flag or p option. P means port number here, port number 80. You're going to be using port number 80. Then there is this S option. Okay, S option, and with using, then you're saying which IP address to use. Okay, now the S option talks about the SYN flag. You may say, what is SYN flag? What does the S option mean? Well, SYN means synchronization. TCP SYN, I'll explain to you what that is. When two computers connect with each other, the first computer sends a SYN packet, SYN, meaning synchronization. The second computer, as he receives the SYN, it will respond with an acknowledgement that I received your SYN, and also it sends its own SYN packet to the first computer. The first computer now receives the second computer's SYN packet, and it will send an acknowledgement packet or ACK packet to the second computer. So this is called three-way handshake. So first one sends a SYN, second one SYN and ACK, the first one again sends the acknowledgement or ACK packet. So in this case, SYN packet will be sent. That's why S option has been chosen. Okay, this is an example of hping command. Okay, and there are so many ways to do scanning your port. You may say, what is port? Well, port, when packets are sent between two computers, those packets are of different types. Like that packet may contain data of email data, could be internet browsing data. Depending on what kind of software you are using, many different types of data, different types of application data is being sent. By the port number, those applications are identified. For example, port number 25 means SMTP packet, that's simple mail transfer protocol. So if it is destined to port number 25, then you know that most likely it's going to be outgoing mail. Okay. If it's port number 80, you know it's HTTP package, hypertext transfer protocol. So depending on port number 443, for another example, would be HTTPS or secure HTTP. Port number 22 is SSH, secured shell. So depending on what kind of application, what kind of data, what type of packets are being sent, there would be a port number in the TCP level, in the layer 4. TCP gives a port number to it. So now, having said that, you want to know which ports in a computer are listening, which ports are open, which ports are closed. So you can learn that by doing port scanning. Okay, how do you do the port scanning? One of the ways to do a port scanning is using Nmap command. Nmap stands for network mapper. Nmap command with SS flag, for example, that will perform a SYN scan. As I mentioned already, I already discussed about the SYN. P0 flag, that will make sure that it will skip the pinging. So here is an example. Okay, let me see if I can make this even bigger so you can see it well. Okay, now, so this is the Nmap command. What happened? How far did I go? Port scanning. Okay. Okay, now here you can see more easily. Nmap is the command. They are using Kali Linux. Okay, in the Linux using Nmap command. And O stands for operating system. O flag meaning you want to also know, you want Nmap to find out what operating system is being run in that computer. Okay, P0 meaning skip pinging. SS means send SYN packet, TCP SYN packet to this particular computer, a computer having 10.0.2.4 IP address, and you see the result. You see the port number 21 is open. Okay, that's FTP. FTP traffic is open. It is open for FTP traffic. Port number 22 is open. TCP port number 23 is telnet, that is also open. port number 25, SMTP open. So many ports are open, okay? And then of course you have other ports, closed ports are like, about over 1,000 ports are called well-known ports. So those ports are all unknown. So, so many ports, maybe about 20, 30 ports are open here. Here 977 closed ports. So out of 1,977 closed ports are right there. Okay. Now that was Nmap scan result. And like to show you, okay, what is OS fingerprinting? Again, OS fingerprinting means knowing what operating system is there in that remote machine. From outside, you are trying to figure out what operating system the target machine is running. So you're going to use Nmap with O flag on it, okay, or O option. It's going to be -O, okay. So let me show you. I had a window open right here where it shows Nmap flags. See, Nmap can be used with the. Let me make the window even bigger. Okay, window size bigger. Okay, so you can see it well. Okay, so you can use the SYN scan with SS. You can use a connect scan with a ST, UDP scan with SU, with a Christmas or Xmas scan with SF, SN, SX, like, all kind of null scan. You're going to be running all of those right here all at once. Okay, fin, null, and Xmas, that you can do. Okay, so many different options. You don't have to know all of this in this class. I'm just giving you an idea. Okay, now going back to our chapter. So it shows more about Nmap scanning. Let me see what scan this one chose. This probably has chosen SV, that means service and version. Okay, version. Uh, now it's going to say that, look, it not only says TCP port number 21 is open. Let me see if I can make this bigger by Windows and plus sign. Maybe I can blow it, magnify the window. Let's see if possible. Okay, magnify the window. No, that didn't happen. Okay, that's okay. Oh yeah, it did. Fantastic. Okay, it took some time, but it did. Now you can see it well. Okay, look, port number 21, TCP port open, but this time it said about the version that, hey, VSFTPD 2.3.4, that application is being run. So this particular computer, I'm giving a quick example, is open. Its port number 21 is open. It is open to FTP traffic. And what software it is using for FTP? VSFTP PD version 2.3.4. Now look at SSH. Its port number 22 is open for SSH kind of connection, and 4.7 PL or P1 Debian. Yeah, that is the version it's running for SSH. So now going back to make the window smaller again. Okay, so now move on. So Nmap, so you kind of understood that Nmap command can be used with many different options or flags. Okay, if you do not use any of the flags, just simply Nmap and an IP address. So it's going to do its default settings. It's going to show that which ports are open. In this case, port number 135 was open, service MS RPC. So RPC service was running on this. 139 was open, NetBIOS SSN was open. 445 is open, and Microsoft DS is running on that port. So again, we're talking about all about Nmap. Okay, now let's see what else we have. An Angry IP scanner is another software tool that you can use to run this kind of port scanning. So these are all scanning tools. We're talking about, again, active reconnaissance. Why would you scan? You are scanning to learn about those machines, what operating system they are running. I'm summarizing what operating system they are running, what version of services they are running, which ports are open, which ports are listening, um, which IP address range that network has, what are the computers, what are the IP addresses that are responding to ping commands, which ones are closed, which computers are not responding, which IP may not be valid IP, or no machine is having that IP, or that machine may be shut, maybe not up and running. So you're going to find that out by scanning. Okay, let's go for the next. That's active reconnaissance. Talked about that. Next one, passive footprinting or passive reconnaissance. How do you do that? There are what is first of all, what is passive reconnaissance? Passive reconnaissance, you are not going to scan a machine, you're not going to ping the machine, you're not going to directly contact those computers, those devices. Then what do you do? Well, you use other third party indirectly. With third party information, you find out information about that network, about those devices. How? One way is to use device log data. All the devices that are in the network, if you can access their log information, for example, every Cisco device, Cisco router, Cisco switch, Cisco firewall, any kind of Cisco device, they have their own logs in there. What is the log? Log means any event that takes place to those devices, it records that event. Meaning the event, this device was shut down, this device rebooted, one of the interfaces went down, one of the interfaces was configured, an IP address was assigned, somebody logged in to the privileged exec mode, somebody logged out, everything that is done to that device, everything that that device is, every action that is performed with those device, it's going to record that. That's called log. Okay. And not only Cisco device, any device has a log. Any PC, any laptop, Windows laptop, Linux based laptop, any kind of machine has its own log, and you can go and check the logs. Okay. For example, Cisco devices has the log. They have 7 levels of log, 8 levels of log, not 7. So 0 to 7, that's total 8. 0 means an emergency. Okay. 1 means alert, like that. Okay. 2 means critical. So number 7 means debugging. So depending on what level of log you have, you need to put your attention accordingly, whether it's an emergency or it's simple information. Number 6, level 6, for example. Cisco also uses Netflow. That's another software, another utility for to to analyze the traffic flow, to know the wherever the bottleneck of the traffic, when is the peak hours, how much of the bandwidth being used. Netflow can give you lots of information. So if you have those kind of logs, device logs, Netflow programs logs, then you can have a lot of information regarding those devices, those machines without pinging them. Okay. Give you an example of event log in this computer. The computer that I'm using right now, every computer has event viewer. Okay, so I'm using the event viewer. If you in your computer, you can check the event viewer, and let me see if I can again make it with magnify the window. Okay, now you can see event viewer program I'm running, and it has logs, Windows logs, application log, and you can see how much, hundreds of, probably thousands of lines of log it has information. You want to know the detail of this. Okay, I would like to know what this exactly at March the 1st, 2022, 1:44:32 p.m. something happened. Information. This is all information. And look, when there is an error, it has the red log right here. Okay. And you want to know what kind of error happened. It logged. So I'm gonna double click on it, or even click on it. Once I click on it, at the end of the screen down there, it's going to have more detail about that particular error, exactly what happened, what kind of error that was. Okay, it has the detail on that. Then there's a security log about, login attempt, about security of the system, about anything the firewall logs in, what happened, audit success, audit failure. Okay, successfully login attempt unsuccessful. You're going to have all those things in there. Setup log, system log. So now I wanted to show you that every device, every computer has its log. That's all I wanted to show you. Going back. Okay, now go back to my PowerPoint. Okay, now Look at the netstat command. Okay, and there's so many other commands, way too many commands. You use the trace route commands or traceroute command. In Cisco device, you use trace route. In Windows, you're going to use tracer, T-R-A-C-E-R-T, traceroute command. And that way you can trace a device in a remote network, and you will know exactly which routers, which firewalls, which hops you are going through, you have to pass in order to go to that device. That helps you map the network. It helps you know that what are the devices in between. Okay, netstat command is very useful command. Another example, netstat command with the TA option shows active TCP connections. So you will know how many and what TCP connections are active currently. With O option, it shows the process ID for each of the connections. NR shows routing table. Let me give you an example right here. I'm going to go to the CMD, okay, command prompt in my computer right here, and let me use the netstat command so you can see how to use netstat. Netstat, netstat. And I would like to know what are the options available with this command. So I'm going to do space forward slash question mark. That will tell me all the options that are available with this netstat command. Enter. Hmm. I have, let's see what I have. Look, all these options are available. Okay. My computer is being really, really slow. Let's see. Right here. A option, B option. Okay. E option, for example, E option will say it displays Ethernet statistics. Okay. Um, that close this window. Okay. Otherwise, you won't be able to see it well. Okay. Okay. Now, look at E option. Then it displays Ethernet statistics. Okay. Maybe combined with S option. Okay. Look at N option. Displays addresses and port numbers in numerical form. Okay. R option will give you routing table. R option displays routing table. Okay. Now, the options that I was talking about, let me demonstrate that to you. I said netstat with TA option. Netstat, netstat TA. Look at that. All the active ports and interesting. Look, TCP port number 135, okay, is listening. Okay. Look at TCP port number 445, that is listening. Okay. This particular port has a connection established, that is TCP 5354. That's the port number. 5354 port number. It has been established. Okay. A connection has been established. Now, and so on. Okay, so too many of them, don't worry about that many. So now it's still coming and it's going to take too long, so I'm going to press Control C to break the command sequence. Okay, now I'm going to type netstat, Netstat, netstat forward slash nr to have just R would give you the routing table of IPv4. NR is going to give me IPv4 and IPv6, all the routing tables. So look at that. I used netstat with nr option. That's the command I used. Okay. And what do I have? I have this routing table. Look at this. First of all, it did interface list. How many interfaces are in there? IPv4 routing table. It shows all the routes that my computer knows in its routing table and has added to its routing table. Okay. Then IPv6 routing table. All the IPv6 destination addresses, it knows how to get there. The routing table is there. Okay. This is an example of how to use netstat command. So going back to my PowerPoint. Okay, I'm going to go to the, let's see, go to the chapter and see what is in there. Next. Okay. Okay. Passive footprinting. That's what we're going to talk about now. Passive footprinting, we're talking about the logs, and that's what we're talking about right now. Remember, Cisco has the 8 levels of log we talked about. 0 is for the emergency, 1 is alert, okay, like temperature limit exceeded. 2 is critical, so like software failure. Emergency would be the device shut down due to failure. Okay, that will be a 0, level 0. Level 6 is informational. Okay, like ACL violation. ACL means access control list. A violation has happened. Things like that. Okay, so you can always look at the log files. Like I also checked the event viewer earlier, and you can check Netflow. We discussed that. Now we're talking about Netstat. So there we are. Okay, go more down, go more down. Now you can also check many other configuration files like DHCP logs. DHCP is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. It means DHCP meaning the DHCP meaning dynamically IP address is assigned to the host, meaning computers, devices that are connected to the network. So a server, a DHCP server is going to send out IP addresses automatically to your client computers in your network. So the DHCP logs all those information, that which IP was assigned to whom at what time, how long was the lease for the IP, all those information. If you look at those log data, that's going to give you lots of information about that network and about the clients, about the hosts. Okay. Now, if you're using a Unix or Linux machine, Linux operating system, you're going to have /var /log. That's where all the logs are saved. Okay. If you want to look for configuration of anything, you're going to look for /etc folder. So etc folder is going to have your configuration, and the dot log, in that folder you're going to have all the logs. Okay, going back to my PowerPoint. Okay, next we discussed about Netstat. Now, what is NS lookup? NS stands for name server. DNS meaning domain name server, domain name service. What does it mean? Domain name service means the process or the service that converts a name into its IP address. So we humans, we do not memorize all the IP address that we visit. However, we remember names. For example, you're going to go to Dallas College's website. You're going to type dallascollege.edu, yahoo.com, google.com, microsoft.com. We humans can memorize that. But actually, those names must be converted into its IP address for my computer to find out that server, that website. And DNS server does that job. Okay, so you can use NS lookup command and find an IP address. Or then once you find an IP address, then you can, from there you can find the IP range, IP block that it belongs to. Who are the owner of that? Who is the owner of that IP address or IP block? Where are they located physically in the world? You can find out all those information. So first of all, let me show you how you can use NS lookup command. Here I am in my laptop, and I'm going to, let's see, type NSLOOKUP, NSLOOKUP, NSLOOKUP. I would like to know the IP address of Microsoft.com, Microsoft.com. Okay, see, it it found out Microsoft.com. Its IP address is 40.113.200.201, and several other IP addresses associated with that name. Okay, so this kind of information is found. And look at this. This is a IPv6 address, looks like to me. One, yeah, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. This is IPv6 address. Okay. Anyway, so NS lookup. Now, NS lookup can be used with many different options also. Let's go back to there. Now that you understood what DNS is, converting names into IP, NS lookup is a command that using which you can find the name into IP or IP into name, reverse NS lookup. Then use the query flag with the NS lookup command to find out specific types of DNS records. Like NS lookup, if you do if you do the hyphen query equal to mx, for example, then google.com, in that website, in that names, that is Microsoft Exchange kind of record will show up. Okay, and there are different types of DNS records that can be brought, that can be that can be brought up. Let me show you somewhere. I had it here, DNS record type. DNS records, there are many different types. Okay, some are called A records. That's the address. Okay, IPv4 address, that kind of record. Then this quad A or AAAA record, IPv6 address. Okay, CNAME or canonical name, that kind of record. Okay, A name, this alias names, and that is going to be that's going to go to the root of your domain or a host name. FQDN, that means fully qualified domain name. Okay, SOA record, meaning start of authority record. So I don't want to go that much detail. I'm trying to actually make it brief, but all I want you to know that DNS server has many different types of records, and you can get them all if you query it properly. Now, DNS zone transfer. Again, what are we talking about? What am I saying? All of these things. We're talking about how to gather information. DNS is one of your resources. From the DNS records, you can find out information about many devices without pinging them by passive means. That's what we're discussing right now. Okay. DNS servers do zone transfer, meaning a DNS server, all the information it knows, it shares with other DNS servers. This sharing, exchanging information is called transferring your zone file. Okay. Now, imagine a zone file, if you can capture it, or you can look at a zone file, how much treasure of information you're going to get about many machines. There are different types of records. Okay. If zone transfer is not available, or you couldn't see the zone transfer, then DNS brute forcing is another method of learning DNS records. Brute forcing means manually or automatically you keep on sending so many query for an IP address, or many IP addresses of that company, so that you can learn a whole lot more about them. Okay, let's go to our chapter and see where I am at. Okay, so talking about DNS. Okay, now let's see where we talk about DNS. DHCP. Okay, we have not talked about that yet. Okay, I want to go back down, go back down, go back down. Okay, okay. One more thing that I would like to talk about here is a firewall. All the firewalls, they have ACL, access control lists. Okay, that also gives us lots of information. Like this is an example of an access list. Okay, it shows permit, TCP, and then this network, and the any equal to 22. Okay, so basically any port number. So if port number 22, uh, that kind of traffic permit from this whole network 10.0.0.0. Okay, with any IP address that has 10 in common. Okay, so this mask here, it says the last three numbers could be different, but the first number has to be the matching 10. So anything begins with 10, this access list is going to allow that packet to come in from that source. Packets will be allowed if they have if they're going to use port number 22. Okay, okay, very good. So this is just an example of an access list. Okay, so now we're talking about DNS. Okay, which I am just talking about DNS. We have done enough. Now talk about who is. Okay, another way to know information about your uh, about any computer network, all the company's whole network and their devices, is using who is. Who is will reveal to you who that website belongs to, who registered it, when it began, many whole who are the contact people, all kind of information. Okay, who is information. Let me show you How to do that? If you are using Linux operating system, you can simply use the command whois. Whois is a command in Linux. Okay, and then whois, and then you type Microsoft.com, and then all information about Microsoft.com will show up. And if you're using Windows machine, you don't have the whois command. You can go to the internet. Like right now, I went to a website that provides the whois service. Okay, you go to the Google and type whois lookup. Whois, HOWIS, and then lookup. Then you're going to see many websites that offers that service for free. Okay, here is I'm going to type say yahoo.com. So I'm trying to find out the whois information about yahoo.com. Click on it. Okay, and see, I have a lot of information handy right now. Domain yahoo.com, register who registered it, registered on in 1995, okay, expires in 2023, updated in 2021, all kind of information about Yahoo. And look at here's raw data of whois. In the Linux, if you use the whois command, then it's going to look like this. That's kind of result you're going to get, okay? And you're going to see a whole lot of information about it. So that's again another way of doing passive footprinting. Okay, Responder is another tool in Kali Linux that automatically performs DNS query. So there are so many tools in Kali Linux that you can add, you can download, you can, and let me say Responder. For example, Responder you use, here's the Responder command. This time this person has used with so many options with I, W. I'm not going to go to the detail, just to show you that Responder is a command that can be used with so many options, and it's going to give you so much information. Okay, look at SQL server is on, FTP server is on, IMAP server is on. So much information has been gathered. Okay, using the Responder command. So going back. Okay, another way to do your passive footprinting, again reminding you, passive footprinting means you are not going to directly ping those machines, but you are going to gather information about those machines using third-party methods. So this time you're going to use packet capture. So you're going to capture, snip some packet, and find out information in that those packets about those machines that they were destined to. Two machines are communicating, and you capture their communication. You snip in their packet and you analyze the packet, and you see a whole lot of information about those machines. Okay. Next, detecting. Okay, now I'll coming into that. Let's go back to the chapter now and see what is being discussed. Okay, where I am at. Okay, DNS discovery, zone transfer. Already talked about all of those. Okay, brute forcing. Whois talked about that. Okay, responder talked about that. So I'm okay here pretty much. Next. Okay. Now, gathering organizational intelligence, that is very important also. Okay, let me see if I have a PowerPoint for that. Oh yeah, okay. Organizational documents, website, social media. So those things can be used to find a lot of information. Let's explain what it means. What is organizational documents? Any organization writes any kind of letter, any kind of documents, policy, whatever their paperwork they have. In those paperworks, you will definitely find tons of information. Who are the authors, when they were written, what was that about? So much information can be obtained from those documents. Okay. Of course, companies' website, social media, that's common sense. There you're going to have lots of information. Electronic document harvesting. So you look for electronic documents that belong to some companies. EXIF tool is a tool that finds out tag data from images, audio, video, PDF. Okay, so there is a file, audio file, video file, a picture file. From there, you find out tag data, when this picture was taken, in which location this picture was taken, for an example, this kind of data. Okay, company website, of course, is going to reveal a lot of information. Social media, oh yes, LinkedIn, uh, Facebook, all kind of social media. They're going to have the company employees, company's own profile could be there. You can find out lots of information from there. And of course, social engineering, that is, done by deception, by phone, email, in person. You're deceiving somebody, to get information. So these are all different ways of getting information with passive manner. Okay, passive reconnaissance. Now we'll talk about detecting reconnaissance. Okay, how do you detect reconnaissance? If somebody is doing reconnaissance against you, how do you find that out? Okay, I'm gonna go to that. Okay, next. So reconnaissance may be run all the time against your company, and so you want to detect that. So there are different ways. Okay, you use all kind of devices who will be logging the traffic that comes and goes. Okay, such as, go back to the PowerPoint, IDS, intrusion detection system. You have some software, that is IDS software. Okay, IPS software, that is intrusion prevention system. Or you can get a hardware device with hardware software all built together. They are IDS or IPS. Okay, HIDS, same thing, is a host IDS, host intrusion detection system. NIDS, network intrusion detection system, or SIM, security information and event management. Okay, security incident and event management. So this kind of system, the software or hardware, they're going to have lots of data, log data, that hey, this kind of traffic came at this time, this person was trying to, from this source IP, someone was trying to log in at this hour. All those information, that's you, by looking at those data, you will know that perhaps reconnaissance is being done. You will detect them. Okay, now methods to analyze. Once you find out all those data, how do you analyze them? How do you find out whether they are threat, whether they are reconnaissance or not? There are different methods you can use to analyze the data. One is called anomaly analysis. Anomaly, that's like finding out an abnormal behavior from a type of packet. This type of data, this type of packet, this kind of traffic should behave this way, but instead it was behaving the other way. That's an anomaly. That's a red flag. That's an alert. Trend analysis. Trend analysis is your software, your analysis software, analytical software is going to predict based on what it has already learned in the past. Using the past data, it will predict that this type of behavior or this type of code or this kind of traffic is going to be bad. Okay, by analyzing past data, it's going to predict that. Signature analysis, like comparing appearance, like you look at some code, your antivirus, for example, sometimes antivirus programs use signature method. So it has some known signature, and it's going to compare the other code with this known signature and see whether it matches. If a match found, then this antivirus program is going to say this is a virus because it's matching my known signature. Okay, known pattern. Heuristic analysis, on the other hand, does not look at the appearance of the code, does not look at the signature. Instead, it looks at how the code actually is behaving. That's called heuristic. So both are important. Signature analysis should be done. Also, heuristic analysis should be done. And of course, manual analysis, detecting using human instinct. Okay. Now, lastly, preventing reconnaissance. They are always doing reconnaissance against your company. You want to limit that. You want to minimize that. How do you do that? You can configure all your devices, firewall, your IPS, meaning intrusion prevention system, to stop those kind of probe or scanning. Okay, you don't want to allow the SYN scan to come in. You don't want to allow the ports to be open, the ports that you are not using. So close the ports as much as possible to minimize, to limit the probing or scanning against your company. Okay, and of course you're going to monitor the alerts and take further action. Okay, now passive reconnaissance, that can be also prevented. If you know some source, they are bad, proven to be attackers, you blacklist them, so they will not be able to even communicate with your network at all. You can use CAPTCHA to stop the bots. CAPTCHA is the when you are trying to fill out something and click on submit, it says that okay, whatever you see in the screen, type up exactly the way you see, like in a picture. So they want to make sure that no automatic robot is filling out the form. You are a human, so it interacts with you. That's called the captcha. So you use the captcha to stop bots. Bots means automatic robots, automatic software codes, that scripts that are running by itself, acting like a human, acting like a user. Then of course you add privacy to your domain registration, so people will not be able to see as much of the who is data. Do not publish zone transfer. Okay, you can choose to do that, so your machines, your DNS servers will not do the zone transfer to other DNS servers. So this kind of methods you use to prevent. Let's look at our chapter. And data analysis methods, we discussed anomaly analysis and trend analysis, so we discussed that. Preventing active reconnaissance. Okay, so we're pretty much done. So I hope that this video would be helping you learn chapter number 3, and we will see you in the next video in the next chapter, and have a wonderful day.